the substance goes into the body. This is the high dose now. And there is a rush that is absolutely indescribable because the sound level in your head increases by a magnitude of which is almost indescribable. You get the sound of rushing water, you get the sound of a high pitch whine, all simultaneously. You think that even in a white noise environment, you wouldn't be able to discern a high pitched sound, but sure enough, there's a high pitched sound there too, and it's very, very discernible. And then the trip, I guess it is a very apt term in this case. The trip starts happening. You start moving consciously in space and time because things start coming at you, like in the Star Trek thing when they go into hyperdrive or whatever it's called, warp speed, and things suddenly start coming by at a very, very high velocity. Suddenly your thoughts, instead of coming in at a very leisurely pace where you start thinking thoughts and you move from that thought to the next thought and you move to the next thought and that thought gets old and you move. Now the thoughts are coming in at a velocity of which is almost incomprehensible. They are just, thought hits and boom, and you grok it or you try to, and it goes and it's coming, and the next thought comes, and then pretty soon the thoughts are no longer just thoughts, they're whole concepts. Big concepts are just come floating through, and then images start coming into the mind along with the concepts. All of this is coming at you at a very high velocity, which incidentally, it's already way too fast, and it's increasing. So you exponent figure, oh my God, things are increasing. Pretty soon I won't be able to keep up with this. Information and images are going to be coming so fast, I am going to lose it. So sure enough, you reach that point where just data and images are streaming in far greater than your mind can deal with it. So what happens is the mind kind of just like a computer that's gone overload just kind of tilts. It just winks out, just go click. But that's just the first step. Now your mind has winked out. Your rational mind has winked out. But the human being is a very complex organism. You have layers of things that we could only call humanity. And so then next thing is you have an emotional mind. So now, you are working purely on emotion, and now things are starting to overwhelm your emotions. And then pretty soon your emotions are so overwhelmed, they wink out. Well, after like going through several layers of these things, I'm running low on me. Things have started to wink out in such a thing. All of a sudden, way back in there, something says, you're dying. And then a very clear thought forms. How it formed in this hurricane of data, but a clear thought formed and said, I knew this was going to happen. You go to a hospital, and I'll be darned if some fool doesn't give you the wrong medicine and these jokers poisoned you. Of all of the places to get poisoned in a hospital, I have taken poisons deliberately on the outside world to try and get these spiritual experiences, but I always knew what I was doing, so I knew how much to take, and I never killed myself. These crazy doctors, they screwed up and give me the wrong medicine and killed me. Of all the ironic situations to be killed in a hospital by doctors in an experiment to try and delve into, the deeper realms of the human mind. What a fitting situation. Says, okay, well, let's die. Sure enough, more and more layers of my humanity start peeling off. Finally, the last almost the last layer, and I can't even describe what it is, but you have, at some reaches way in there, there is like the last layer of that which defines you as a human being, and it goes click. You are no longer a human being. In fact, you're no longer anything you can identify. You don't know if you're animal, vegetable, mineral, or what. But you are certain of one thing. You are not a human being anymore. Everything that you understood to be human, emotions, thoughts, feelings, consciousness, all of this fell off sequentially, just from the higher order to the lower, all the way to the lowest order thing. All of them have fell off. So now you only have something that mystics have tried to describe forever. That consciousness, that spark that is your own identity. And it's not even an identity. It is just a consciousness, an awareness. All you know is that you are. You don't know what you are. You don't know where you are. You don't know, but you exist. You are existence in isolation. You exist. Now this is why I preface with the puzzle pattern door. In the process of this trip, this meteor-like trip through the infinite space of the interior consciousness, is up pops the picture puzzle pattern door. And I'm now whizzing through this sucker like if it was nothing. I'm flying through it. But now I know what the picture puzzle pattern door is. The picture puzzle pattern door is the farthest reaches of your humanity. This is the doorway into what defines you as a human being. When you go past that, you stop being human to a degree, and the further you get away past this point, the further away you go from being a human being. But right here, this picture puzzle pattern door is everything. It's everything. It's what defines you as a human being. This picture puzzle pattern door is you. You get this, I had been confronting myself and seeing myself, and I said, oh, this is me. And I kept wanting to go past me, unknowingly wanting to go past me. Because I thought it was something to go beyond. Well, you certainly can go beyond it, but I didn't understand exactly what going beyond this meant. What it meant was you had to die this identity, this whole thing was an identity, and you had to sail past it. Or you can sail past this. But the cost is high. The cost, because if they could have seen, but of course the physiology was not able to keep up with what's going on. If it would have been possible to have reacted to this, tears would have been pouring out of my eyes. I was mourning. I was crying at the loss of my humanity. I had been a human being so long, and here I was losing my humanness, and I wept every time one more layer peeled off. It was agony. It was pure agony. I was dying as a human being, and I wanted so bad to be a human being. I mean, I didn't realize how good being a human being was until I started to lose being a human being. And you have no idea that this is not going to be permanent. Because for all you know this is permanent. I will never be a human being again. And so there was a lot of sadness about losing. As each layer fell off, there was a lot of sadness about losing each layer of my humanity. So I reached the end of this process. But of course, now the kaleidoscope show and all the lights and buzzes and hums and gone. then I encountered the other thing. They say that out there is a intelligence or a consciousness or something that is called the Creator. And most people will never come in contact with the Creator. And especially after what I've described to get there, they probably won't want to. It's not a very pleasant trip. But you encounter the Creator, except, again, nothing is the way you read about it in the comic books that are the mystical writings. The Creator is huge, deep, wide, tall, and has aspects, many, many aspects. This spark of consciousness that I was left with, awareness, at some point intercepts with this thing, and that recognized something. I said, I'm a part of this. I am, that thing, as vast as it is I am a part, at this point, I am a part of that. So, I'm the Creator. Or at least a molecule in the Creator's cube or substance. But something even more, I can even take it even further. Once I identified that I was part of the Creator, I actually recognized what part I was. And this is something that is was totally fascinating to me. In the process, again, the great search to be the shaman that I was supposed to be, I studied many, many aspects of God and deities and great sages and saints and mythical characters, all of this. When I found my place in the cube of the Creator, I actually identified which one that I actually had a name, a face, and I had an identity. I was somebody. I was one of the people that I read about back when I, was a human being and could read, and I said, "Oh, I am," and I'm not going to tell you who that is. I can't do that. That's too much. There are some things that I have to keep secret. But I identified who I was, and it turns out I'm a pretty major player in the scheme of creation. But I identified it. Now here's an interesting thing is, okay, now I'm in the universe as I am the Creator observing, the universe, but not really, because all you're really aware of is your ownness, your own beingness, and your identity. But I guess what's happening is the DMT is wearing off. And so now something happens. The Creator, or the aspect of the Creator that I am, now has to go somewhere. So what does the Creator do? Creates a world to come back into. So little by little, I start creating the world that I'm going to live in. And I start creating, that's creating some of the more finer aspects of the creation and more grosser aspects. And so I'm simultaneously creating my body and myself again, but I'm also creating the physical world that I'm going to come back into. And as I'm creating it, as it starts to come back together, I start creating it more and more based on, now memory has started to come back in, and I start recreating it according to my memory. and I recreate the world as closely as I possibly can to the way it was when I left. As closely as I can to the way it was when I left. Because now I am nostalgic. I am so, again, remember all those tears and everything about leaving and how I missed this and how I missed that. So I recreate everything back the way it was because I so missed it. So I create the universe back the way it was. Boom. I wake up or come back and I ask them to remove the eye shade from my eyes. And I'm going to, again, digress a little bit. In that state where you are one with the Creator, there is no real sense of time. Heck, there isn't even a sense of space, place. There is only a sense of being. So while I was on the trip, both out and back, in my warped sense of time, I had been gone for at least, by my reckoning, for at least 1,000 years. 1,000 years, possibly more. Wasn't quite sure. It was tough to grab a handle of what was going on. So when I am back in my body and I ask him to remove the eye shades, okay, now my mind is filled with these thoughts of last time I remember, these doctors in this hospital had killed me by giving me the wrong medicine, and I died. But then I realized I was in a hospital, and I said, you know what? This century is fantastic. They kept my body all of this time. They kept my body just because they didn't know what the heck to do with it. And I guess for research or for whatever reasons, they kept my body and thinking maybe I was going to come out of this coma. And I can't believe they kept it for so long. So I was wondering, gee, I wonder if there is anyone left from my family, like maybe a great-great-grandchild, or like maybe, a really, really distant, because 1,000 years, how many generations could go by? But I mean, is my name even still in the books? Or are there any books?